Welcome to Gulfstream Park. It is February 13th. I almost didn't know what day it was. February 13th, 2000.
I'm glad somebody did, because I don't.
2014. We've experienced everything today, from the rain and the wind, and now the sun is out. It's been a little bit of a upside-down kind of day.
Yeah, and it's a breezy day, and like you mentioned, the sun is out, so I'm expecting the track to start drying out real soon. Tried to keep some of the races on the turf, but that was not the case. They took them off for mostly safety reasons, so we will not be running on the turf today. We do have a sloppy main track, and so it'll be a work in progress throughout the afternoon, but a fun work in progress.
Yeah, we had a lot of rain earlier today, and so the races have eventually come off the turf, and we have a few scratches, and as Ron said, we will try to give you all the changes and scratches that we have thus far. However, our man Larry Colmist will come on, as always, later on in just a little bit, and he's going to give us all the updated changes and scratches. But Ron, we do have another carryover in the Rainbow Six, and just over $660,000.
Wow, they're going to have 700,000 easy today, to give away 700 and something thousand. So getting really exciting. And if you're not aware, it's a 20-cent wager, and it kicks off on our 10 race cards in the 5th race each and every day. So by that time in the afternoon, you have your tickets ready and get in there. And I hope you're the one that gets that one lucky ticket. But I always want to mention this, besides if you don't happen to have the one ticket, the 6 of 6 payoffs have been fantastic.
That's right.
And I mean, they've been 1,500, 2,000, throughout the day. So even if you share the ticket with someone, it's a chance to make some good money, and only with 20-cent increments. Pretty nice.
Yeah, definitely. And we do have a 10-race card today, and we could just jump in. Let's start with race 1, my man.
Oh, it's a good place to start.
That's always a good place. So we will start with it is a starter optional claiming event, which is with a claiming price of $10,000. It is a mile on the main track. As scratches number 3 and number 8. And my top selection in there, I went with number 7, Shalala, but it appears you went in a different direction.
Yeah, I went with the number 2, Vianney Lane. This is a former stakes winner against a state-bred competition in Maryland. Now she debuts locally for trainer Peter Walder. He was pretty good with new additions to his barn. He's about 22%, and he's got Joel Rosario. And I think there's 2 scratches in that race. The number 3, Love Shack, and the number 8. I ain't gonna lie. And the number 8, I'm gonna lie, was a lot of people's top pick. So the race shape actually changed, and I ended up with the number 2, Vianney Lane, but also added Shalala on my ticket because that horse run well in 7 furlongs in the slot.
Yes, you did. And also, I know that we both threw in the number 1, Don't Tell Patty, in there, and likely going to be showing speed in that first race, and has some off-track form as well.
Yeah, just going to be out there, and I think she'll be playing Catch Me If You Can in the opener, and we'll see what happens. First race on the sloppy main track. I went with the 2, you went with the 7.
And on to the second race on today's card, which is a $20,000 claiming event. It is a mile on the main track, and it kicks off the early pick 4. And my top selection in there, and number 3, Embroiled Saint, from the Alan Iwinski barn, and has been showing speed in her last couple of starts, and just got beat late last time, but she was beaten by 2 lengths. But I think the speed factor is going to help her, although there seems to be some speed in here.
Yeah, there's some speed in here, and I like the fact that she signaled she could handle this level of competition in her last start. With that said, I went to the number 5 horse in here, Matisse, stretching out to this 1 mile distance, closed wide to finish second. That was against $12,500 2 lifetime claimers, going 6.5 furlongs. Been really liking what I see from the barn of Michael Dilger, and if you look, he's got limited sampling, but he's 2 for 6. 33% with horses stretching out the distance. Jose Caraballo in the saddle. So Michael Dilger, one of those guys I got my eye on throughout the whole meeting, and I just had the 3 on the ticket too.
And Michael Dilger, a former assistant to Todd Pletcher, he has been doing well, as has his former boss. He's always setting the world on fire here at Gulfstream. But you're right, Matisse does have a favorable stalking style, and I think that's going to serve him very well in that race. On to the third race on today's card, which is a $20,000 maiden claiming event, 7.5 furlongs. It has come off the turf.
When we run at 7/8 on the main track, 7 furlongs on the main track.
On the main track. So we do have no, hold on a second, if I can actually find my page. We do have one scratch, number 3, and there's a jockey change on number 9, Jose Caraballo, and I went with number 5, Graffitist, and from the Bobby Robato barn.
Yeah, number 5, Graffitist, might benefit the most with the move to the racetrack. I still kept my turf selection in here, and that's the one Minster Road. Dropping to the $20,000 level. He stalked the action. He finished 5th. That was beaten only 3 1/4 lengths against $35,000. Claimers here was back on December 27th. Eddie Canali, we've been talking about him all media. He does a fantastic job. Julian Leperoux handing a turn back from a mile now to the 7 furlongs on the dirt. So I kept my selection the same and wanted, as Christina mentioned at the beginning of the show, we'll be getting more scratches. I don't know in this particular race on the horses that went to the from the turf to the main track. They were still doing the scratches when we came on the air.
Yeah, they have. So we will try to get those to you in a little bit. And on to the 4th race on today's card, which is a starter optional claiming event. It is with a claiming price of $10,000. 6 furlongs on the main track, and 2 scratches, number 1 and number 7. And that changed things a little bit for me. Number 7 was one of my selections in here, but I ended up going with number 8, and that was Quiz Whiz, who's coming into this off of 4.5 length of victory last time, and in a pretty eventful race.
Yeah, there's horses in this race. If you look at them, they like to win. You know, number 2, Untethered, is turning back to 6 furlongs. He responded in his first start after the claim by Jamie Ness with his 3rd consecutive victory. That last one in the slot. But Quiz Whiz will try and make it 3 in a row after following his $6,250 claiming victory at 5.5 furlongs. He was much the best last time out. Yeah. And I had a scratch in there of one of those other horses, the 7, so I threw in County Gun. And if you look at County Gun, 7 starts on an off track with 1 win in 3 seconds. So I figured he was a logical choice to throw on the ticket. But this should be a very, very nice race with horses that know their way to the winner's circle.
And also a couple of horses that have speed that you mentioned. Number 2, Untethered. He's going to be showing speed from the Jamie Ness barn. But also number 6, County Gun. He seems to be probably going to be showing speed as well. So it will be interesting to see the early pace scenario in that race. On to the 5th race on today's card, which is a starter allowance, and 50 claiming price, or have not, horses which have started for claiming price $50,000. And it was originally slated for 1.16 on the turf. It is now off the turf. And my top selection in there, I went with a numero 1, and that is Twizaguri Straight.
I'm glad you said the name, Twizaguri Straight. I always have trouble with this one making its 3rd start of its current form cycle after a couple of really solid performances against $25,000 option claimers. Michelle Nihai, I always forget how to say Nihai, has Johnny Velasquez, and this is a Son of English Channel. I went with the 8, Cage Fighter, a versatile son of closing argument. He won on the turf at Churchill, but he won on a good track right here last time out. Now he goes back on this sloppy track this afternoon. He gets the call for a Mike Maker and jockey Julian Leperoux. So once again, we'll see if there is any scratches in that race a little later on when our Trek announcer Larry Comas gets up here and updates you on everything.
And moving on to the 6th race on today's card. Actually, before we leave the 5th race, just to let the good folks know again about the Rainbow 6.
$660,000 in the jackpot carryover. Kicks off in the 5th race. Now, you had to do your homework for the first 4 races. We've been mentioning speed, starkers, closers. By now, you should get a handle how this off-track is going to play today, and that's very important as you move on into the Rainbow 6 card, because all the races today will be on that main track.
They certainly will. And now we can move on to the 6th race on the card, which is 6 furlongs on the main track. It is a starter optional claiming event with a claiming price of $25,000. And there's a scratch number 2. I went with number 1, Wild Conceits. I know, Ron, you went with number 4, CNO. Both of them came out of, actually I should say, we'll get back to Twilight. Let's get back to Wild Conceits first. However, a very nice effort from him. And CNO, he comes into this off of a victory last time. And CNO, that victory, we can have a look at that video. And a couple of horses are also in this race that finished behind him that day. One of them is He's Got Talent, and who was 2nd, and also Tabueno. Both of those horses have drawn to the outside in this event, Ron. And but a pretty impressive win by the winner that day.
Yeah, and now changing barns, he moved to the Jamie Ness barn via the claim. As you mentioned, he responded. It was a big drop in competition. He come back with that $25,000 claiming victory, and that was a sealed, sloppy track, and that's what we have right now. So lots of things to like about number 4 CNO, and especially the way he just, the jock was just easing him up as they went under the wire, so he won rather impressively.
Yeah, I know that you also used He's Got Talent now with Tino Attard, and previously he was with Wesley Ward. He was claimed off of Wesley last time in a second place effort, and he's getting in a feathery light 113 pounds. He's got our man Dylan Davis aboard.
Yeah, Dylan Davis, our leading apprentice, been riding in great form. And just look at this horse's last 2 races. Run pretty good in both races on a sloppy track. So number 7, He's Got Talent, added to the ticket, especially because we're dealing with a track with some moisture in it today.
You know, the one thing I will add in terms of my top selection in that race, Wild Conceits, is not only, not particularly loving breaking from the rail. However, first time Lasix. He's going to be assuming a stalking position, which I think will suit him here because there is plenty of speed in this race. And I just think that he's coming into this the right. He has a recent work as well, and I like the whole package with this horse.
Yeah, and that might be very important sitting a trip, because it doesn't mean, a lot of people think when there's a sealed sloppy track it's going to be speed all day. That is not the case. A lot of times at Gulfstream, the horses that stalk the pace do better than horses that are running out in the lead. With that said, they'll probably all go to the front and not look back.
That's right, and that race does kick off the pick 5. So I think you might want to. I would personally like to use a couple of horses in that race.
I would like to use all in every race, but of course that's not possible.
On to the 7th race on today's card, and this kicks off the late pick 4, a mile and a 16th that is now on the main track, taken off the turf. It is a 25,000 maiden claiming event. And there is a jockey change at number 7, Joel Rosario. My top selection, number 5, Desenhado. I was actually on this horse last time, just beaten a half a length at 7-1. Last time out. I think he's going to get the job done here.
Yeah, and that was in the slop, so keen off that performance. It's a gelded son of Tappet, and I think he handles everything. If you look at his performances, he handles the turf, the dirt, and wet tracks. So wet tracks. I did go with the 3 laws of the city, stretching out to a mile and a 6 tonight. He responded to a drop in competition with a couple of improved performances, albeit on the turf. So a 3rd place finish last time out, Paco Lopez, the son of El Corregidor. So I'm definitely have the 5 Desenhado on my ticket.
A couple of other horses that we should probably talk about. You did mention number 3, Laws of the City. You also used a number 2, 10 and 4, and coming out of, also ran on the slop and really didn't show. He ran an even, I would say, 7th, an even 5th, beaten 7 1/4 lengths, but you used him on your ticket.
Yeah, he had an excuse last time out. If you look at his last running line, you'll see he was shut off early. He really got shuffled back, and then he came running wide. So I'm thinking with a clean trip, he can be closer today and fits very well, especially with the move to the wet track today.
And looking on to the 8th race on today's card, which is a 30,000 claiming event. It is 6 furlongs on the main track. And my top selection in there, no scratches thus far, at least not the last that we had taken a look at things. And my top selection, number 2, Lake Michigan from the David Fox barn, getting blinkers on for this race. Had worn blinkers in the past and had been taken off for the last couple of starts. And he's dropping, finding easier here. She's finding easier here. So I think that's going to help her cause. But I know you went with a horse that I had among my top selections, but not on top.
Yeah, number 1, Making Havoc, moved to the Jane Sibeli barn via the claim, turn it back to 3/4 of a mile. They have to come in within 3/4 of a length of defeating $20,000 2 lifetime foes. That was going a mile. Joel Rosario guiding this previous winner at the distance, 2 starts, 1 win and 1/3. So there is a reason to believe that this horse is going to like to turn back to 6 furlongs today. And also have your horse on the Lake Michigan, and I have number 4, Pure Crazy Luck. Our old buddy moved to the Herman Walensky barn, and his horses always run well here. We always got an eye on him, and he crushed the field of bottom level maidens last time out by like 16 lengths or something like that. So going to get the old class check today.
You know, let's take a look at number one. You were just talking about making havoc just a minute ago, and let's take a look at her start last time, because she got a pretty solid knock coming out of the gate, and she really came on. She hit the front, and but she weakened just in the final strides. And as you said, you know, sometimes, Ron, with the way that coming out of the gate like that awkwardly or being knocked to that degree, it really takes some of the juice out of them.
Yeah, you know, and she was on the outside post, so there was a chance that they wanted to go and get a little better position. They did, and they had to tuck in and sit back a little bit, change their running style just a little, but came on nicely. So all those reasons, I had the one on the top of my ticket.
And looking ahead to the 9th race on today's card, which is a mile and a 16th. It is now off the turf, and it is a starter optional claiming event with a claiming price of $16,000. And my top selection in there, I think this is the first horse that we've agreed on today.
Yeah,
Isn't that amazing? Number 6, Romans Avenue, and this is a 4-year-old colt by Street Sense, and likely going to be showing in here in a pretty nice winner last time.
Yeah, and I think this is the speed in the race. She's going to try the $16,000 claimers after using his abundance of speed to defeat $30,000 2 lifetime claimers at the distance. Eddie Coletti is the trainer, and Iron Ortiz Jr., we talked a little bit about him. Christina, let me know, he rides up in New York and he does an excellent job. So when you see him here, this is a speedy son of Street Sense, and I think he has a tactical advantage in this race.
Now, just to make that point, his last 2 wins have been on the turf. This race has come off the turf. So in terms of how you feel he's gonna handle the main track here, obviously you mentioned Irad Ortiz, top-notch jockey from New York. I actually saw him with Angel Cordero the other day, so by osmosis, you know, he couldn't have been keeping better company. Hall of Fame jockey Angel Cordero. However, how do you think that Romans Avenue will handle the dirt?
Well, I went back and looked at his performance September 21st at Belmont, and he didn't run badly at all. He got claimed in that race. He ran second, albeit at 6.5 furlongs, but it was on a sloppy track. So I mean, it's sort of I guess going from the turf to the dirt today, but that was my best bet. If it had stayed on the grass, absolutely loved it. But now I want to take a little bit of a rain check and see that maybe that's not the right word, and see.
A wait and see. I like to see.
And see how the earlier races play out if I'm going to single him in my Rainbow Six ticket.
You know, I also used number 7 Tom Kitten, and I see that you did as well. And he's coming into this. He was only beaten a half length into 5th last time, but he seems like one of those horses that just wants to finish second.
Yeah, and he needs a little racing luck, and he was bothered at the start, going a mile on a good turf at Calder, Marcus Vitale, Orlando Boca Chica, is gelded son of Kitten's Joy, and Kitten's Joy, knowing how good they've been on the turf, but they run on off tracks too. So, and Marcus Vitale just in his zone right now with his buddy Orlando Boca Chica, both of them becoming Grade 1 winners.
Yeah, over the weekend they won the Gulfstream Park Turf Handicap, and with Lochte, so that was a big win for that barn, and maybe to keep the momentum going here today. On to the 10th and final race on today's card, and it is a 7.5 furlong test. It is off the turf. Starter optional claiming event, a $35,000 claiming price. My top selection in there, I went with number 8, Principessa Gina.
Principessa.
Yeah, and she was 5th last time, beaten 3 1/4 lengths. But that was considerably tougher company that day.
Well, and she's dropping down, as you mentioned. We'll see how she runs on this thing. That was on the turf, of course, last time at $75,000 optional claimers. I went with our pages are blowing around here, as you can see. It's a pretty nice day out here with the breeze. I went with the number 3, Fortune Pearl, was sent south to compete against $35,000 optional claimers after a couple of really solid performances upstate at Tampa, in which she defeated $32,000 Mertens. That was at first asking. Followed that with a 2nd place finish against starter allowance competition. And what great connections here. You got Graham Motion, Julian Leparoux. Now we got to see if she can handle the
dirt.
The dirt.
Yeah. And that's it for today's card. And just looking, quick look ahead to this weekend, as we always like to give you the heads up. We have the McDermott. It's a Grade 2 event. That's going to be on Saturday. A couple of nice horses running in there. One of them is a graded stakes winner named Twilight Eclipse. and from the Tom Albertrani barn, and he was second in a couple. He was a Greatest Stakes winner here in Florida last year.
Broke the world record, I think, in the Pan American.
Seriously fast horse, and he's actually a couple of second in a couple of Grade 1s, and that was in the Sword Dancer and the Manowar up in New York over the summer. So he's one to look forward to, and nice. And this has been the race that they've been targeting, and also Alpha, who won the Travers as a 3-year-old, and then also won the Woodward last year. He's going to be making his turf debut in the McDermott as well.
Yeah, I think he's had 26 previous starts, never on the turf, but he's certainly bred to run on the grass. So they've been, if you read the stories about it, been waiting to try this horse on the turf, and Saturday will be the day that they try it on the turf in the McDermott.
They also have the Grade 3, the Very One, and Anjaz, also she's another horse from the Tom Albertrani barn. She's out of a mare that cost $10.5 million at public sale. That's a world record, by the way, folks. And so she's got all the breeding. She hasn't raced since August. She's coming back. There's been a slew of issues of why she hasn't raced Ron since August, but she's finally going to get her chance, and she's bred to the hilt. So a very nice filly, and it could be a big weekend for Tom Albertrani.
And if you like distance races on the grass, this is the place to be on Saturday, because the 8th is at 1 3/8, the 9th is 1.5 miles, and then, and the 10th race, we just got distance races on the turf, and some people really like that, and I do too. So.
I do as well. And just a reminder, folks, that today, starting in race 5, we do have that Rainbow 6, and there is that carryover over $660,000, and I think we're going to have to spread a little bit in that race.
Yeah, we're going to have to go a little deep in there, and as I mentioned, the best thing to do is watch how the earlier races play out and do that. And one thing I want to remind everybody, during the weekend on Saturdays, we got the $100,000 guaranteed in the pick 5, the last 5 races today, in the late pick 4, $200,000 guaranteed. So lots of great things going on this weekend. We got rid of the rain. It's beautiful here right now.
It is, and a very solid card on tap. And folks, stick around. Ron and I will be here the rest of the afternoon. I hope you join us.